Villa Park. It's Aston Villa 0, Manchester City 2. Well, it's a very warm welcome back to a second half independent off-tube studio commentary from the game at Villa Park, where Aston Villa trail by 2-0 against Manchester City. Goal from Ruben Diaz on 27 minutes gave City the lead. That was after Sterling put a ball into the box from the left-hand side. I don't think he was aiming for Ruben Diaz, but he hit it first time at the edge of the area with the left foot, just a slight nick off Leon Bailey. That was enough to beat Emiliano Martinez. And then Villa had a little bit of a spell of possession and were looking to try and put a bit more pressure on that City defence, but from that moment of pressure, a long ball from Fernandinho. He picked out Jesus on the right-hand side. His cross was volleyed in superbly by Bernardo Silva, and that's how we find ourselves at the start of this second half with City 2 goals up. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz, and Dan McCarthy taking you through the action. And Dan, if Villa are going to make any kind of headway in this game, they've got to get the next goal, because if it goes to 3-0, I mean, at 2-0, they're already up against it, really, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's very unlikely to see the way that Villa can get back into this. We've seen stranger things happen in the past, of course, but they've got to get the opening goal, and I think they've got to do it quite quickly as well, because one goal would unsettle Manchester City, and then with most of the second half remaining, they are sometimes prone to making errors. They've won an early corner of Villa. It's good wing play from Ashley Young against Alexander Zinchenko, who feels that he was fouled by the former England international. But it's a good start to this second half for Villa.
It is a good start, and they need to make use of this set piece straight away. It's going to be an outswinger from Douglas Luiz from the right-hand side. He's got players to aim for inside the penalty area. And Buendia's just gone short as well for a low cross, but it's played into Watkins, and it's off the post and into the back of the net. What a perfect start for Aston Villa. Less than 90 seconds on the clock in the second half. Watkins volleys it first time from a corner, in off the post, and it's Villa on the board.
Yeah, exactly what Aston Villa needed. Great finish that from Ollie Watkins. Initially, when Luiz swung the corner in, I thought it was a really poor delivery because it was swung in, it was quite low and flat, but Watkins, facing away from goal as well, really made the most of it. He gets away from Raheem Sterling far too easily. He doesn't track him whatsoever. It hits the post on its way through. Edison, I don't think, was getting there. It's just a fantastically well-executed finish. And Villa are back in this.
Villa are back in this. Great finish there from Ollie Watkins. And to remind you of the 2-11s for this second half, it is Emiliano Martinez in goal for Villa. Back four of Matty Cash, Ezri Konsa, Tyrone Mings and Matt Targett. The three in midfield are John McGinn, Marvellous Nakamba and Douglas Luiz, with Emiliano Buendia, Ashley Young, who came on for Leon Bailey in the first half, and goal scorer Ollie Watkins as the attacking three. For Man City, no changes at half-time either, with Edison in goal. Back four of João Cancelo, Ruben Diaz and Nathan Ake. Three in midfield, Fernandinho, Rodrigo and Bernardo Silva. Gabriel Jesus, Riyad Mahrez and Raheem Sterling are the attacking three. And it's a City in possession, just at the edge of their own penalty area. With that goal for Villa, of course, it is just going to make City just think about things a little bit more. They don't want to suddenly find themselves 2-2 in this game.
No, they don't, and it probably will liven them up a little bit. And Pep Guardiola will be absolutely livid, because the first half was a really good performance from Manchester City. They controlled the game throughout, and it's only taken Villa 2 minutes to cut the gap to one, but they're coming forward now with Zinchenko.
They are, with Cash slipping at the crucial moment, and then Zinchenko plays it into Sterling. Sterling tries to get it across the 6-yard box. Konsa was there, and it's out for a corner. I just wondered if perhaps Zinchenko could have tried to take that on himself, because by the time he played it to Sterling, really had very little space to work with.
Yeah, potentially so. They've taken the corner quickly, and Villa need to get back in shape.
They do. It's Sterling to Mahrez. Now back to Sterling. He then clips the ball into the penalty area, looking for Ake and Ruben Diaz, who are just at the edge of the 6-yard box. It eludes both of them, though, and it's out for a goal kick to Aston Villa. But Zinchenko here, as he was taking on Ashley Young. This is the decision that led to the corner. Zinchenko felt as though he may have been fouled there in the build. I'm not sure there was enough contact there. But that finish from Watkins right into the inside of the post and into the back of the net. Even royalty are happy with that one.
Yeah, Prince William in the crowd there watching Villa. I mean, looking at the replay of the challenge from Young on Zinchenko, I think Zinchenko could potentially count himself a little bit unfortunate. You definitely see that half the referees would deem that to be enough contact to be a foul.
Certainly last season.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the rules have kind of stiffened up a bit to make sure that more contact is permitted than usual. So certainly last season, I think that would have been given as a foul. But even so, with the newer guidelines, I think City maybe are just a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah, a little bit, yes, but the way in which that goal was scored, it's just woken up the crowd. It was less than 2 minutes into the second half, so it really does mean that Villa will now feel as though they've got something to try and hang on to in this second half. But City now in possession in the Villa half with João Cancelo. He plays it back towards Ruben Diaz. And now Nathan Ake over towards the left-hand side. A strong collision there between Cash and Sterling, but the referee plays the advantage because Zinchenko brings the ball out. His cross into the box is only stabbed away by Ezri Konsa. And then at the edge of the area, when McGinn loses the ball, there was no foul. There will be a follow-up effort from João Cancelo at the edge of the box, but that one is over the bar.
Yeah, it took a big deflection on its way through, so Manchester City will get a corner. And as we mentioned, with Manchester City not wanting to concede, we've got to say the same for Aston Villa as well, because they've worked hard to get back into the game, but Manchester City will need to make sure that they can try and take full advantage of being given this corner kick. And with Villa getting that goal, it might just unsettle them ever so slightly. They might get a bit carried away, so City to look to take advantage.
Short corner again here between Mahrez and Sterling. Sterling goes on the run this time and puts that ball into the box just away from Bernardo Silva. Cleared up towards the halfway line where João Cancelo holds it up and then goes back towards Zinchenko. City just looking for that sort of control they had in the early stages of the first half, especially now that they've conceded early in the second. But from Villa's point of view, they haven't the job's not done yet. They don't want to be sitting back too deep. I think just by sort of natural progression in the game, the next few minutes, City are going to be trying to dominate and trying to get that third goal. But Villa don't want to sit back too deep for too long, as Mahrez now picks the ball up on the right-hand side, edge of the area. He goes back towards João Cancelo. And he plays the ball across, taken down here by Gabriel Jesus. Just under a bit of pressure, having to go back towards Zinchenko. He then finds Sterling, who runs straight into McGinn, but the loose ball is back with Zinchenko. And some full-time scores to tell you about. It's finished goalless between Wolves and Burnley. They're into the 7th minute of injury time at the London Stadium. It's 1-1 between West Ham and Brighton. About 5 minutes behind that, Southampton 2-2 with Leicester City, and then and a long way behind that, Watford v Chelsea. All those games are, in theory, 7:30 kickoffs, but I think only one of them's actually finishing on time this evening with delays elsewhere. Here comes City now down the right-hand side. A ball in from Cancelo, looking for the run of Bernardo Silva. He's stopped by Tyrone Mings, but Mahrez picks up the loose ball. He goes back towards Fernandinho. Inside now to Rodrigo, breaking into the penalty area. There is Bernardo Silva now. Dances away from two players. Just can't quite stay on his feet, but the loose ball drops to Rodrigo just at the edge of the D. He didn't fancy the shot himself. Places square towards Zinchenko. Sterling now on the left-hand side, trying to break into the box, dancing away from Matt Cash. Then laying it off to Zinchenko, who tries to hit one himself. Leaning back a little bit to the Ukrainian international, and the ball goes over the bar. Yeah,
it's the wrong decision that from Zinchenko. There were many men in the box that he could have aimed for, as Sterling twisting Cash inside out, pulled it back for Zinchenko. He wasn't being closed down, so you can understand maybe why he did go for the shot, but I think there were three more players. He could have just tried to dink that ball towards the edge of the 6-yard box, maybe try and make Martinez come out and do some work, but decided to go for goal instead, and it went a long way over.
Did go a long way over in the end. It's a bit of a disappointing end to a long spell of possession there for Manchester City, but a long clearance now from Martinez. Goes down the middle. Ake and Watkins colliding, but the ball ends up with Manchester City anyway. Ake just needing a moment to pick himself up there. Looks like he's still down on the ground, but City pushing forward now with Fernandinho. His pass into the box was way over hit, though. No chance for his fellow compatriot Jesus to get on the end of that one. Played out now by Martinez. Nakamba over to Target down the left-hand side. Now Watkins, first-time pass back to Douglas Luiz. That's the right idea. But again, if you're going to try and play a ball into that corridor of uncertainty between the defence and Edison, you've got to time it just right, because Edison normally times it right himself. Yeah,
and he timed it right on that occasion as well. But that's what Aston Villa need to try and do, because Manchester City do traditionally play with a very high back line. So if they can play those balls over the top and try and get in behind, that's why they do have to probably be a bit more direct, as they were there, rather than just knocking it around the back as they're doing now. Try and get it forward quicker and put Diaz and Ake under pressure.
Well, you're right, because they've just exchanged 7 or 8 passes and they've barely even got close to the halfway line, and now Douglas Luiz under pressure does manage to skip away from João Cancelo, so it's worked out for Villa on this occasion, and the ball threaded through to Ashley Young, but it's just stopped at the last minute there by Nathan Ake. and then a push on Riyad Mahrez. That will be a free kick to Manchester City. But the point you make about City playing a high offside line, that is partly down to the fact that they trust Ederson to always get to anything that isn't stopped by the offside trap.
Yeah, and that's the really good thing about having an archetypal sweeper keeper in there, is that they are the last line of defence. They're very good at anticipating those long balls that can come over, and as well, I think it's just a byproduct really of having such a possession-based game that players are going to want to get further up the field. They're going to want to join in with the attacks, and that's where the first goal came from, the fact that Ruben Diaz, a centre-back, was on the edge of the area.
Absolutely, as here come City now down the left-hand side. It's absolutely true that there is a very fluid formation. It does allow those back players to almost play as additional midfielders when City are in possession, and they're in possession now down the right with Riyad Mahrez, edge of the area. It's got Bernardo ahead of him. That's where the ball has gone. Bernardo then dances away from a target, tries a shot himself. Perhaps he should have looked to play this square, but diving in is Konza, and he puts it out for a corner. Yeah,
really good play. Great feet from Bernardo Silva, who we've seen some magic from him already so far this evening. Matt Targett dived in. It's a bit of a reckless lunge, really. I think he's fortunate that Bernardo's feet were so quick that he was able to take the ball away from him. But Manchester City with another corner, another chance to wreak havoc in the Villa defence.
Absolutely. Riyad Mahrez is standing over this one. Options inside the penalty area here for Mahrez. They've taken a few short corners this evening, but this one looks like it's going to be played in to the edge of the area to be a hit on the volley by Jesus. It's bouncing towards goal, just bounces up past the post. I think he got a slight nick off one of the Villa players. Looks like it's going to be another corner. Yeah, I think it's actually Douglas Luiz who might have got the last touch on that one.
Yeah, he did. I mean, I don't think it had enough power on it to really cause Martinez too many problems. Had it been on target, they've taken the corner very quickly, and it's played to the edge of the box.
Yeah, short corner this time between Mahrez and Sterling, and now João Cancelo plays it towards Gabriel Jesus, who tries another effort from the edge of the area, and just like the effort a moment ago, there wasn't enough power on it. This time it was on target, but Martinez makes an easy save. It
does seem a little bit strange, the fact that Gabriel Jesus, who's really the only natural forward in the whole Manchester City squad, he stood on the edge of the area and the wanting the ball to drop to him for those long shots.
He's been listening to Guardiola, who's told journalists many times this year they haven't got a number 9, so Jesus isn't acting like a number 9 anymore. But in all seriousness, I do wonder whether or not it was wise for Guardiola to say that, unless he's already sort of told Jesus privately that you're one of my wingers now and that's your role. But it's considering that Jesus arrived at the Etihad as a young Brazilian striker trying to make his name, the fact that 3 or 4 years later his manager says we have no striker at the club now, I think it's a little bit poor from Guardiola.
Yeah, potentially so, but I think Gabriel Jesus probably knows that. And as well, we've heard Pep Guardiola say in the past that ideally he wants his side to be comprised of 11 midfield players. So I think what he's trying to do is get his players as comfortable in as many different positions as possible for them to go forward. And yeah, I think Jesus has had experience of playing in the wide areas before, so I'm sure if you were to ask him privately, he'd want to play as a centre forward.
I think so. I think he certainly would. And what you said there about City, Guardiola wanted to have 11 midfielders in his team. I suppose Del Bosque with Spain already started that trend. Spain actually won tournaments pretty much playing with a solid midfield right throughout their 11. As Villa now have a free kick. It's a long way from goal, but it's floated towards the edge of the area by Douglas Luiz. Konza couldn't quite head it towards goal, but that's well recycled by McGinn on the right-hand side. And a left-footed cross looking for Watkins, who heads it across goal, and it's so close to 2-2. It's only a corner, although Ezri Konza wants even more than that, and I just wonder if VAR might be looking at another decision here.
Yeah, well, VAR do check everything, so we're going to have to look and see. As the ball came back across, I thought Konza was going to get to it. Watkins with a really clever header across. Konza does go down. There is a bit of a clattering of legs in there. I'll tell you something, Ake doesn't get the ball. He makes slight contact, I think, with Konza. This could be one that VAR look at.
I do wonder. The only thing for me is that I think Konza's already hitting the deck before before he even makes any contact there with the City man, before Ake, and I think the referee says play on, so it's just going to be a corner to Aston Villa after all of that. But certainly I think there was scope for perhaps a question mark there about a potential penalty. VAR doing a very quick check this time. Douglas Luiz then whips the ball in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. And Mike Dean in that style of his, quite demonstratively there, showing that it is going to be just a goal kick.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where if we did see Mike Dean go over to the pitch side monitor, that's almost as good as the decision being overturned, because I just think referees, they don't want to make their colleagues at Stockley Park look silly by disagreeing with their referral to the screen. So potentially Manchester City have got away with one there, but you can look at that and you can see it from both ways. That's just the thing with football. A lot of the decisions made are so subjective.
They are subjective, absolutely right. That's why even with video replays, there's still going to be a few debates, more than a few debates. Even with every season, as we see VAR improving and perhaps not being as pedantic, still going to be a few question marks. There's still been decisions this season where VAR has given them other games virtually identical things have been completely ignored. So there's still a lot of scope for more consistency. But certainly that last decision there, Villa perhaps right to ask the question. And I wouldn't mind seeing that again, perhaps from another angle. But we've hit the hour mark here now. It's 60 minutes gone. Aston Villa 1, Manchester City 2. Independent off-tube studio comment. That's exactly the same score that we've got in the other 8:15 kickoff, which is Everton 1, Liverpool 2. That game is available on our service. The Southampton-Leicester game, which had a bit of a delay, is into the 4th minute of injury time. It's still 2-2 in that game. And it's 70 minutes gone in the game between Watford and Chelsea. And it's still 1-1 in that game. Mount gave Chelsea the lead before Dennis equalised for the home side. It's Manchester City in possession on the halfway line with Ruben Diaz. He's got João Cancelo on the right-hand side. Ball played into him. And now Jesus trying to play it back towards João Cancelo. Marvellous Nakamba slides in and puts it out for a throw. Certainly the pace of City's possession play has just dropped a little bit in this second half. It was vital that Villa got the goal when they did, just to try and slow Man City down just a touch. But the visitors now in possession here with Fernandinho. Back towards the halfway line for Nathan Ake. Over to the left-hand side now, Zinchenko with a bit of space ahead of him. Just being closed down here by John McGinn. And then the ball played out towards the left-hand side is cut out by Matt Cash. He then wants to throw after being stopped in his tracks, and it is going to be a throw to Villa.
Yeah, Manchester City just trying to get themselves forward. I wonder how long it might be before the likes of Grealish or Foden could be introduced, just to give them that little bit of extra class and creativity up there, because a third goal would demoralise Villa after they've got back into the game so quickly in the second half. I think Guardiola might turn to one of those two soon, perhaps maybe for someone like Sterling or Mahrez, just a player with a little bit more finesse about them, maybe.
Absolutely, as Manchester City now just making a bit of a mess of playing out from the back. Villa now potentially role reversal here. They're able to pick the ball off. Perhaps a little bit disappointed they couldn't stay closer to the box, but now Mings with a hopeful ball down the left-hand side. Target was fouled there by João Cancelo. Referee plays the advantage. Buendia gets it into Douglas Luiz at the edge of the area. Luiz holds it up and then plays it into Cash. Cash spots McGinn on the right-hand side. Left-footed cross from McGinn just over the head of Douglas Luiz, and it's out for a goal kick. Yeah,
that would have been difficult for Luiz anyway, but the cross was overhit. There's another player down. I think it's Matt Target who's gone down for Aston Villa. He's holding his face now, so we've just gone over the hour mark and it's becoming a bit of an attritional game. It's Cancelo and Target that jump into each other, and I think Target has been caught flush in the face there.
He has. Whether or not there's any intent from Cancelo, I'm not too sure, but the referee saw it and he played the advantage. I've seen that a few times in the last few weeks as well, where pretty clear head injuries have sort of been allowed to go on for a minute or two before referees stop play. Even though the rules are pretty clear cut on what should happen. Chelsea, by the way, have got a second away at Watford. They're 2-1 up now. Just waiting for a confirmation of that goal scorer. But Chelsea chipping away. Perhaps they're not playing breathtaking football every week, but they're getting the results.
Yeah, I mean, Thomas Tuchel, I think that we go on about Manchester City and Liverpool's squads. I mean, Tuchel makes 3 or 4 changes every week, and they don't look any weaker for it. I think he's got a really good squad going on there at Stamford Bridge, and yeah, it's a nice style of football in terms of they can play out, but I do think there's a bit more flexibility about Tuchel.
Well, there is, and as I say, it's the second game in a row where Lukaku's on the bench. It's Hakim Ziyech that got the second there for Chelsea after Mount had scored the first. It was Dennis that scored an equaliser for Watford in the meantime. It's going to take a little while here to sort out Matt Target. Still having his face checked over after that collision with João Cancelo.
Yeah, I don't know if he's drawn any blood or not, but the physios stood over him. He's still laying on the floor. He looks a bit dazed and a bit groggy as he's lying down there. This one might be another substitution required. They've already brought on Ashley Young, who would probably be their replacement left-back option, so they might have to go with El Ghazi this time if a substitution is to be made.
Absolutely, El Ghazi you would think is one option. They also have central midfielder Sanson, who I know he's played in a more defensive role a few times. Tuan Zabi potentially could join that defensive line, so they have got a couple of options there. Have Aston Villa. Liverpool, meanwhile, have gone 3-1 up away at Goodison Park. Mo Salah with his second of the evening, potentially. And the nail in the coffin of Rafa Benitez's short tenure at Goodison.
Yeah, and I don't think there'd be too many Everton fans that'd be disappointed with that based on how it's gone. He had quite a good start to the season, but they've not won since mid-September, and the longer you go without a result, the more hostile the fans will
I think
get.
any Premier League manager these days, I mean, even ones that have got a little bit more credit in the bank, I think if you've not won in 10 games, then I think any manager in the league now the questions are going to be asked. And the board will always look at that and think, well, if we just change the manager, even if we just leave his assistant in charge, it might just mean we win the next 2 or 3 games and all of a sudden we're not in so much relegation trouble. So it's certainly something that I'm sure the Everton board will be considering. But certainly the Villa bench will be considering whether or not Matt Targett can stay on the field, because he's got up now. He's been walked off the field, but he looks very groggy.
Yeah, he does. He's walking off quite slowly. He looks like he's probably taken a whack to his face, and it'll take him a bit of time for him to come back to his senses. He's being helped off by the physios. I'm wondering whether he's not going to continue. But they're going to show a bit of faith here in Carney Chukwuemeka as Stephen Gerrard just goes through the pre-match briefing with him. He's a player that does have a lot of potential, and Villa fans and people around the club rate him very highly. I saw him play against Barrow in the League Cup earlier this season, and you do have to say when you tell that yes, Barrow are a League Two side, but he looked really good on the evening. So
Villa scored a hatful that evening as well,
yeah,
didn't they?
They won 6-0, and I think he scored either 1 or 2, and he did look very good. So just wondering how this is going to change the shape. I think maybe it might just be a straight swap with Young going to left back now and Chukwuemeka going into the left wing position.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Yeah, Chukwuemeka very much a left-sided midfielder, attacking midfielder potentially, whereas Ashley Young, of course, that was his first role, if you like, in football, is to be more of an attacking player, but certainly for years at United and playing in Italy was comfortable in that left-back role. And so we'll just see from the setup on the pitch. Yeah, it looks like Young is over on that left-hand side now. Yes, he certainly is. So the ball now back with Tyrone Mings. Goes back to Martinez. Took a long time there for Matt Targett to be checked over, as Villa taking real risks at the edge of the area there. And Konsa's ball is a loose one. It's now Sterling down the left-hand side. He's been stopped here by Cash. Cash gets the final touch. Will be a throw to Manchester City. Despite some of the protests, those Villa fans there behind just to the side of the field there. Throw on taken quickly by Zinchenko. And he goes back towards the halfway line here for Ruben Diaz. João Cancelo inside now to Bernardo Silva. Now Fernandinho clattered into by Nakamba, caught in possession, and now a chance here for Villa. That's a poor ball though from Ollie Watkins. He's only got Chukwuemeka 5 yards away from him and he missed him. Yeah, it's a really poor piece of play from Watkins. Had he played Chukwuemeka in, there was potentially a counter-attack, because it was quite sloppy in midfield there from Fernandinho, and Manchester City win the ball back, and now this is what they can do. They're just playing it around, playing it at exactly the tempo they want to. If they want to speed it up, they will. If they want to slow it down, they will. That's how good this side are. And the point is, because they have so much of the ball, they can actually make that choice themselves. A lot of teams have to sort of adapt to what their opposition are doing, whereas with City, they're the ones calling the shots. And here they are down the left as Zinchenko found Sterling. Sterling taking on Matt Cash, trying to get away from him. Cash won't leave him alone though, as Sterling tries to break into the box, looking for an angle for a shot, looking for an angle for a cross, and in the end Cash stands his ground and clears that ball up towards the halfway line. No outlet for Aston Villa though, so City come back again down the left hand side with Zinchenko. Back into Fernandinho. He goes back towards Nathan Ake on the left hand side now. Zinchenko again been stood up by John McGinn, having to go back towards Fernandinho. got to give Villa credit. They are making it that bit more difficult for City to get into their penalty area. But now Mahrez and Bernardo Silva find some space down the right. Bernardo's right-footed cross is charged down at the last second there by Douglas Luiz, and it's cleared out for a throw. We've hit the three-quarter mark in this game. 69 minutes gone. Aston Villa 1, Manchester City 2, and it will be down to take us through to full-time.
Yeah, cheers, Paul. All to play for as Cancelo plays the ball in from the near side, but it's grabbed by Emi Martinez, who bowls it out now for John McGinn. McGinn across now to Ashley Young, who his first instinct is to try and get forward, but he's given it away really cheaply to Fernandinho. Here is Jesus now on the right side, gets towards the box. He pulls it back now for Mahrez on the near side. Mahrez plays it infield now for Rodri, around 30 yards out. Rodri sweeps it across, looking for Zinchenko, now with Sterling up against Cash once more. Sterling still holding on to the ball. He needs an outlet. He goes down to the ground. No foul is given. And Villa win it back. It's with Chukwuemeka, who plays the short ball now for John McGinn up towards Watkins. But Ake is able to make the challenge as we enter the final 20 minutes of the game with the scoreline 2-1. Goals from Ruben Diaz and Bernardo Silva in the first half. But only a couple of minutes into the second half, and Ollie Watkins swept in a nice finish from a corner that was taken over on the far side, an out-swinging delivery, and it completely caught Ederson off guard as he clipped off the post and went into the back of the net. Manchester City, unsurprisingly, dominating possession. 71% they've had in this second half thus far, but they've scored one fewer goal. They'll be grateful for that 2-goal cushion they managed to mount in that first half as Nathan Ake picks the ball up now. Villa just beginning to look a little bit tired. Watkins is usually such an energetic player, but he appeared a bit leggy as he tried to chase down Ake then, as Rodri goes across for João Cancelo. Cancelo controls it instantly and he rolls it back for Ruben Diaz. Now with Bernardo Silva making a run down this near right-hand side. He's got Mahrez ahead of him, but he goes backwards, and again, City not doing anything too adventurous. They're just happy to keep hold of the ball. It doesn't matter whereabouts on the field it is. Cancelo, oh, that's a lovely ball forward. Again, another outside of the foot one. Comes to Bernardo Silva, crosses it in. Great touch by Jesus on the turn, but he swings at it with his left foot, and it's a complete miss hit that goes a long way wide of the target.
It's a shame that for Jesus. Who knows if that had happened from the other side of the field, if he'd have controlled with one and spun round and hit with the other, he might have had a bit more chance of being on target, but it wasn't. It's a great ball in from Bernardo Silva, and the first touch from Jesus really is superb, but the shot lets him down.
Yeah, it's a shame that that did let Manchester City down, because all round it was a fantastic outside of the football from João Cancelo, and we saw against Everton a few weeks ago what a weapon that is. A great cross from Bernardo Silva, a very nice touch from Gabriel Jesus, but the fourth element of it just let down Manchester City. Here is Riyad Mahrez on this near side, plays it back now for João Cancelo. Cancelo clips one across looking for Zinchenko. Nice touch with the heel. He's got Sterling ahead of him, but Zinchenko decides to be a bit more cautious and play it back to Rodri instead for Fernandinho. And now Rodri back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko, quick ball through now to Jesus, and Sterling is making a run towards the byline. Sterling up against Ezri Konsa. Sterling tries to pull it back. It takes a deflection, and Martinez comes out and claims it. It's been a fairly frustrating evening for Raheem Sterling, in the fact that he's got himself into a lot of nice positions. He's shown really good feet, really good pace, as we'd usually expect, but sometimes the final ball has just had deflections. It's not quite dropped for him in that regard.
No, it hasn't. I think it's not quite dropped for City in general in the second half compared to the first. They just seem to have a little bit more fluidity about what they were doing, and that final pass, that final ball was finding its intended target a little bit more in the second half. It has just been a bit more disjointed. Just goes to show what that early goal from Villa did to try and disrupt Man City.
Yep, that's what Villa needed to do. They could do it again. That's a great looking through ball, but Ruben Diaz comes across in the nick of time to get there ahead of Douglas Luiz, who was the furthest man forward. I think it was Matty Cash that played the through ball towards Douglas Luiz, advancing forward from midfield, but Diaz with some really well-timed defending.
He's done well, Ruben Dias, not just this season, but it's been a really good signing for Manchester City. A real solid defender, and he can play out from the back. And as we saw, he's got a decent strike on him as well. But now a throw on to Aston Villa down the right-hand side, and Matt Cash drying the ball, looking to try and launch this as far as possible.
Yep, the towel only means one thing, and it's coming in long, and Tyrone Mings has gone up there. Conte's in the box as well, so this is akin almost to a corner kick as Matty Cash hurls one in. It will drop for Tyrone Mings, who heads it back. It comes then for Watkins, but Manchester City are able to clear. It's Ashley Young, the furthest man back, and Young delivers one across to the far side where Cash was. It's a really good leap from Zinchenko, heads it towards Rodri, and now Zinchenko can try and play it forward quickly. Nakamba is there across to get the ball ahead of Gabriel Jesus. Now it's with Watkins. Watkins touches it back to Buendia. Fernandinho dived in for a challenge. I think he may have slipped actually, but Buendia gets it away to Douglas Luiz down this left side. Forward now to Buendia. Buendia plays it through for Chukwuemeka, and it's a great save from Ederson, but that could have been a wonderful moment from the Aston Villa Academy graduate. Really lovely through ball played by Buendia. Chukwuemeka made the run. He took one touch, went left-footed, and it was straight to Ederson.
It was straight to Ederson, gets his body in the way, deflects it away for a corner. Great ball from Buendia. He was actually hitting the deck as he played that pass. Really accurate there to try and get that through to Chukwuemeka. And it's John McGinn down with the outswinging corner.
Yeah, the Scotland international preparing to take this set piece, and Aston Villa, their tails will be up. They'll feel that they've got a chance of getting something from this game. McGinn with the corner. It's headed away by Rodri and then by Mahrez. Comes now to Douglas Luiz. Young will hook it back into the area. It's then drops for Mahrez with an up and under style clearance. Headed downwards by Rodri. It's going to come for Bernardo Silva, is it? No, it's not. Ashley Young will instead roll it back to Emi Martinez, but Villa can try and go again. Launch forward now towards John McGinn, who flicks it on. Diaz is going to come across though. Douglas Luiz is chasing. Villa are claiming that it should be their ball. I don't think the decision has gone their way. No, it has gone their way. Douglas Luiz, I think, was just complaining that the ball wasn't returned quickly enough. I think that's where the Manchester City fans must be being housed at Villa Park on this near side, because there was no rush to give the ball back. Matty Cash has come across now, and he's got the towel in his hands once more, preparing to make sure the ball is as grippy as possible before he launches this one into the box. It's not exactly a Rory Delap-esque long throw, but it could be effective. It's high, and it's aimed towards Tyrone Mings, who was putting Ederson under a lot of pressure, perhaps a little bit too much pressure, backing into the goalkeeper, and Mike Dean saw enough in that to blow his whistle for the free kick. Yeah, Mike Dean decides that just a little bit too much contact there, but the fact that Villa are getting the sort of chances that they are, they're going to make a midfield change now. It's their third change. Marvellous Nakamba is off, and Frenchman Morgan Sanson is on to replace him. Yeah, Morgan Sanson, who joined the club in January. It was a very quiet January window that's just gone. I think it was only one of maybe 5 deals that went through for cash in the Premier League. He's not really had a great time of it. Signed by Dean Smith, of course, but new lease of life under Steven Gerrard. Villa's number 8, so he'll try and see parallels with Steven Gerrard as Fernandinho. Well, that's an awful attempt at a pass forward. It goes straight to Emi Martinez. Manchester City still yet to make a substitution, so we haven't had a chance yet to see what sort of reception Jack Grealish would get.
Absolutely. Well, we saw scenes of him warming up on the touchline. I've got to say, a lot of the Villa fans didn't pay too much attention to him, really, did they? But certainly, once he comes on the pitch, I think that there would be a mixed reception. I think quite naturally, just because of the way these things are, there would be some boos. But I think overall, most Villa fans would realise that as somebody who stayed with Villa when they went down, when he had chances to leave, I think that the fact is you can't say that he's not done his bit for Aston Villa, and he had his chance to make a big move and really hasn't made the big impact yet so far. No, not really. £100 million, of course, that Grealish earned Aston Villa as well, and they were able to reinvest some of that in the summer. Emi Buendia, Leon Bailey, Danny Ings, who's unavailable tonight. Be interesting to see how he can fare under Steven Gerrard. I don't think their paths quite crossed at Liverpool. I think Ings joined in the summer that Steven Gerrard
left, but I'm sure Gerrard will have big plans for Danny Ings as Silva comes forward now down this left-hand side, plays it back to Rodri, crossfield pass for João Cancelo, who controls it instantly with his chest. Cancelo wide now for Riyad Mahrez, looking to try and cause Ashley Young some problems. Cancelo made the move forward, but I think by the time Mahrez was about to release it, he'd gone into an offside position, so Manchester City go lateral now. Fernandinho to Zinchenko. Zinchenko wide for Sterling. Back now for the Ukrainian Zinchenko. City just passing at the moment, as they do so well with just 11 minutes remaining. It's Rodri coming forward. He's been chased by Buendia, but it's a big, stocky midfielder against a young attacking number 10. Rodri was always going to shield the ball there, and City go backwards. Here is Fernandinho in the centre circle. Now for Ruben Diaz, who got all this going for Manchester City with his goal in the first half. Cancelo forward now for Gabriel Jesus, who tries to backheel it to the Portuguese right-back, but Aston Villa are there to win the ball back. And I suppose Pep Guardiola, if his side continue to do this, he doesn't need to go to his bench just yet, and in fact he might even wait until added time and make 3 separate substitutions just to wind the clock down.
He could do that if he's happy with what he sees on the pitch. I mean, we mentioned there aren't too many options for him with all the young players on the bench. In terms of a defensive midfielder, no one really springs to mind. Foden and Grealish are the 2 most experienced outfield players on the bench for Guardiola, as Villa now on the attack. That ball for Watkins perhaps just a little bit too long.
Yeah, Watkins forced a little bit out wide, but he's able to pull it back now towards the direction of John McGinn. Cash will play it into the area, but it's a really poor cross. It didn't have any pace on it, and it just floats towards Cancelo at the back post, who plays it forward now for Riyad Mahrez. Mahrez across for Raheem Sterling. He's got Bernardo Silva ahead of him. Liverpool have got a 4th goal against Everton. Diogo Jota with the strike, and I think
a press release might be being written as we speak.
yeah, and I suspect the decibel level at Goodison Park will be high, and not for particularly good reason as well. Cancelo now through to Riyad Mahrez. Fernandinho looking through for Bernardo Silva. It was nearly a very nice threaded through ball, but Cash was able to block it just in the nick of time. McGinn is blocked in midfield by Fernandinho, but Villa come away with the ball, and the referee says play on. Sanson now wide for Ashley Young. Young crosses it in, aiming for Watkins at the back post. He's opposite number 11, Zinchenko, was able to head it away in the nick of time. Sterling lifts it forward, but it's McGinn. It drops now for Rodri, and City just giving the ball away on one too many occasions. It's backheeled now towards Chukwuemeka. Chukwuemeka plays it out wide for Watkins. He needed an option. Back through to Chukwuemeka, right side of the box. He now pulls it across, but there was no one there because Watkins was in a wide position. I don't think he had any option to go for it.
Villa needed another man in the box there. As you said, initially Watkins couldn't do anything, was waiting for Chukwuemeka, then vice versa. Between the 2 of them, they actually did well to keep possession twice there, but they just needed a 3rd player to try and lay the ball off to.
Yeah, he's shown some nice touches so far, Carney Chukwuemeka, since coming off the bench. Just 17 years old, so it's an awful lot to ask for a player of his very tender years to come on and really influence proceedings, as Jesus now has the ball chucked to him, but Villa can win the ball back, but Jesus does exactly the same, all becoming a little bit scrappy on the far side. Jesus is then brought down, but a fair challenge as deemed by the referee. But finally, the play is stopped and Villa get the free kick with just 8 minutes to go. Manchester City, you get the sense, maybe holding on ever so slightly.
A little bit now, yeah. They're just looking a little bit more stretched. I mean, Jesus and Fernandinho, they're not letting this one go. They feel as though there could have been a foul in favour of Manchester City there. But look at this from City. They're setting up around 30 yards out from goal with an offside line for this Villa free kick that's only about 20 yards away from them. So they're really trying to compact that area in front of their box.
Yeah, it's another high line that Manchester City are playing with. It's going to be Douglas Luiz to take this free kick. Villa players have just got to make sure that they don't stray into an offside position and waste the free kick that's come their way. It's Luiz who plays it square instead for Ashley Young. Young now across to Chukwuemeka on this near side. Uses his body against Fernandinho, but he's had to go backwards. Young then squares it back to him, but Villa decided to pass up the opportunity to play it long into the box. Sanson now goes for a crossfield pass. It's just over Zinchenko's head, but it can be cleared by Bernardo Silva, and Sterling really chases to try and keep it in, but the throw-in has been awarded. And now Aston Villa with another chance to try and burst forward. And these last few minutes, 6.5 to be precise, are going to feel long for Manchester City. But Jack Grealish is sprinting back, I think, to take the training bib off. And he is going to come on for the last few minutes and just try and slow things down, I suppose.
Absolutely, just a fresh pair of legs on the field just to try and slow things down in midfield. Another fight for the ball there between McGinn and Rodrigo. This time Rodrigo gets the decision. It wasn't a foul and City potentially can try and break up. But look at this pressing from Villa. They win the ball straight back and here comes Sanson.
Yeah, Sanson, he got away from Fernandinho and then he was clipped by the Brazilian Mike Dean. Very much awarding the free kick in that theatrical manner that he goes about his business. Sanson is holding his thigh. I think he may have been caught slightly by Fernandinho, but Villa with another free kick. And I just wonder if they are going to go a bit more direct with this one.
Well, this potentially is just that they've tried a few short balls to try and then play a ball into the box. That's partly down to the fact that City have been setting up quite a high offside line, but potentially just to be a bit more direct, put a bit more pressure on this Manchester City defence with only a few minutes to go. City are now falling for the trap that a lot of teams fall for when they play against City, which is that you back off and you encourage your opposition to attack you.
Free kick taken short and then it's swung towards the back post. Mings gets there, he heads it down and Ederson will just allow that to roll behind. Agonisingly for Villa, it is going to be a goal kick. Fernandinho walking away from that. Jack Grealish just getting the final instruction from Pep Guardiola, shouting at him right in his face. He's just such an animated character, but the substitution isn't going to arrive just yet. City have got the game back going. It's hoisted forward by Ruben Diaz. It was almost like he kicked a flyaway ball then, the way it just floated in the air. And Villa win another free kick. Manchester City with a succession of free kicks that they've conceded. They might not make the change now because teams very rarely do when they're defending a set piece, because it can sometimes unsettle the rhythm, unsettle the balance of the defence. Ashley Young and Douglas Luiz stood over this free kick. It's just on the edge of the centre circle, but it's another opportunity for the big players to get forward. Bit of pushing and shoving now between Ashley Young and Gabriel Jesus, who I think was just trying to delay the taking of the free kick, standing by the ball.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do that with Ashley Young, you better be ready, because Ashley Young isn't going to be shy about coming back straight back at you and telling you what he thinks. And as you say, I think it's all tactical from Jesus just to try and frustrate the home side. And it's Douglas Luiz standing over it.
Yeah, Ashley Young and Tyrone Mings, no shrinking violets, the pair of them. So Douglas Luiz will finally send this ball in to the left side of the box. It was Mings that got the flick on once again, and frustration once more as this change finally comes now. It's going to be Gabriel Jesus to come off, and Jack Grealish will make his way onto the field, and he does get some applause.
Not from everyone, though.
From the Villa fans. I don't think the ones that aren't applauding, I don't think they're booing. I think that it's almost as if he never played for Aston Villa, just trying to maybe give a muted reception as Grealish prepares to come on. And he's always going to have such a fondness for Aston Villa. He grew up supporting the club, but now he's got a job to do. He's a professional, and he's up against the side that he left in the summer for pastures new. And I think most Villa fans deep down would realise that it was a move that he had to make for his own personal development.
As a Villa fan, it wouldn't have been easy for him, but I think any Villa fan in that position would say that they would like to take that chance, and Grealish straight into the action. Yeah,
straight away he controlled a high ball, but then he doesn't exactly present Sterling with an easy chance to get to it himself. And yeah, he's certainly a unique kind of player, that he's so good at holding on to the ball, he's so good at winning free kicks, and he's just got that lovely drop of the shoulder where you can't really predict which way he's going to go and which way he's going to turn. So for the last few minutes at least, if Manchester City do fire the ball forward, they've almost got the best player you'd need in the Premier League to take it towards the corner flag.
I think so. I think that's pretty much what they're going to be trying to do in these last few minutes. They probably would have hoped, having conceded so early in the second half, they get a bit more of a rhythm, a bit more dominance in midfield and try to put the game out of sight, but it's not proved to be the case at all. And there's some real fighting quality from this Villa team. But here comes City now with Mahrez and Grealish.
Yeah, it is Grealish up against his former teammate Cash, gets into the box. Cash will know exactly what he wants to do, but it's one thing knowing, it's another thing actually stopping him when he's in full flight. Grealish over on the far side yet again, brings the ball onto his right foot and just rolls one back now to Rodrigo. Rodrigo across for João Cancelo. Bernardo Silva is making a run ahead of him, and Silva will get it. He'll just about keep it in play on the turn away from Morgan Sanson. He's now trying to do the old Grealish trick of dummying and trying to drop his shoulder, and then he's brought down on the edge of the area as the ball was played back through to him. Morgan Sanson saying that was the first challenge he's made. He's not going to be listened to by Mike Dean. And now Manchester City with a free kick on the edge of the area, and it's one that they could conceivably go at goal from here.
They certainly could. It's over on the right-hand side, so left footer Mahrez straight away puts the ball down. He'll certainly be fancying his chances from this sort of range. There will be a couple of other options there as well. Sterling, the right-footed option, you would imagine will be more for a crossing opportunity. And not too many City players at the edge of the box, so it looks as though they are going to plump for a shot here from Mahrez.
Yeah, it's certainly within striking range. Probably it's a lot right of centre. Maybe it's not quite the optimum angle, but I think Mahrez will fancy his chances. Raheem Sterling is stood there as well. If he was to take this free kick, you'd probably think it'd be to just dink it in instead. But I'd be surprised if Mahrez doesn't take this. There is a big gap towards the left of Emi Martinez. Mahrez does take it, but it's straight into Martinez's gloves, and he gets up straight away as we are about to tick over the 90-minute mark and discover how much added time there is going to be. And there will be a fair few minutes owing to that facial injury suffered by Matt Targett earlier in this second half. I would predict at least 5 minutes, perhaps a bit more, as Rodri just the 4, yeah.
I think that potentially Villa could be shortchanged by a minute there. I think that they would have felt. I mean, that's injury to Target alone took a couple of minutes to sort out. There was a goal scored right at the end. We've had other substitutions as well as a couple of other stoppages. So I think that 5 minutes probably would have been closer to the mark. Yeah,
I think maybe in the fourth official's defence, City have only made one change, and only 2 of Villa's changes have come in this second half. But we'll have to wait and see what Villa can produce. It's Buendia, plays it over to Cash. Cash swings it into the box. That was a really good, dangerous-looking ball, but it's headed away by Ruben Diaz, who's going to have to be a real colossus at the back now, because Villa are going to try and throw everything at Manchester City to get a point. Nice looking through ball played by McGinn, but it's intercepted, and Grealish can dink it forward. Chance now for Mahrez. Ashley Young comes across and wins the ball really well. He had to do so as well, because any foul in that situation, you'd maybe be looking at a red card, because Young was quite clearly the furthest man back. Cash takes the throw-in right in front of the dugout, right in front of an agitated-looking Pep Guardiola, who's trying to direct his Manchester City side like a conductor of an orchestra, telling them exactly where they need to be. But Villa do them a favour because they've played it out, and it's going to be a throw-in.
Yeah, well, Guardiola will feel as though he's been through the ringer in this second half. It really has been a tough half for Manchester City, and certainly I think the Villa fans can take some heart. Even if the game does finish in defeat, I think they can take some heart from the fight shown by Villa this evening.
Here is Zinchenko. Sterling's making a move out wide, and Sterling will get there. Tries to take it away from Cash. Rolls it back inside for Rodri. He and Fernandinho have seen a lot of the ball in this second half. It's now with João Cancelo. Bernardo Silva's popped up in a central area. Here is Riyad Mahrez, and now Cancelo through to Silva. He's in space. He's got Sanson close to him. It's now with João Cancelo. Cancelo works his way inside. Fernandinho now. Rodrigo chips it over, but Young gets there first, and certainly has, as he's got into his advancing years, he has blossomed into a player that does have defensive awareness, Ashley Young, as we've seen on a couple of occasions already in this second half. Now Grealish on the turn, gets away from Tyrone Mings. It's then played across to Raheem Sterling. The ball bounces, so he has to chest it up in the air slightly, and that allows Villa to get in and make the challenge. But City are riding out this storm. We've played 2.5 of the 4 additional minutes, and they're going to take a long time to try and take this throw-in. I don't think Pep Guardiola is planning any more substitutions, because he's only really got Phil Foden as a senior player on the bench, and it seems ridiculous to describe him as senior, given that he's only 21 years of age. Here is Grealish now. Sterling gets away from Cash. Really good play. Just about keeps it in the whitewash. And now he plays it to Grealish instead. Grealish back to Sterling. Good feet. Sterling's going to break into the box. Sterling still going. He has the ball taken off him. It's a brilliantly timed challenge. I think it was Morgan Sanson who got in there on Raheem Sterling, just as the ball looked to break nicely for him, to the point where it'd be pointless him taking it to the corner flag. He may as well try and get a third goal.
Oh, from that position, absolutely, yeah. But credit to Sanson, it's always a risk when you're going to stick a foot in against a quick player like Sterling in the box. If you miss time it, there's always that risk that you could be giving a penalty away. But just when Villa needed to have a couple of minutes in the City half, that's when City have stepped up, just made it that little bit more difficult, and there's only seconds to go now.
Yep, seconds to go. Last chance saloon for Villa, and Manchester City have got the ball. It's been played back to Ederson, and I think he's going to thump this forward. Indeed he does. Ederson not looking for any spectacular pass. He just wants to get it as far away from his goal as possible. But that's a good turn from Sanson in midfield. We're playing overtime now. Here is Chukwuemeka. He runs into trouble in the form of Raheem Sterling. And Pep Guardiola pumps the fist because the whistle has been blown. He shakes Steven Gerrard's hand. Ruben Diaz and Bernardo Silva with the goals in the first half. Ollie Watkins half the deficit early in the second half. But Manchester City have held on. It's finished. Aston Villa 1, Manchester City 2.